What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 43 of my reviewing and ranking the Grateful Dead's Dave's Picks, their archival concert release series. I'm going to talk about 43, volume 43. This came out in 2022, not 1900s. And then I'm going to show where this one falls among the other 42 I've already discussed elsewhere on this channel. And this is two almost complete shows. We're missing a Cold Rain and Snow from the second of the two shows, from 1969, November 2nd, 1969, and December 26th. Had a lot of releases from this 2-month period. Wonderful, wonderful. One in San Francisco, the November 2nd, and the other one, the December 26th one, day after Christmas, in Texas, of all places. That's awesome. Sound quality, pretty solid. The second show, I think, is a little bit better, if not actually pretty strong sound quality on that second release. First one is not bad. Really good set list choices. We get Bob on an airplane, not Bob, Bill late from the airport for the second show. So we get a really nice sort of spur of the moment 40-minute acoustic set that is absolutely fantastic. And we get two just really magnificent, fantastic, maybe must hear, but I mean, kind of all really good Dark Stars are must hear. Just two fantastic Dark Stars that are kind of the anchor, the heart, the soul of each show. It is a 3-disc set. All three shows managed to fit on, all two shows managed to fit on 3 discs. If I have a complaint, and I have very, very few, I don't like the way they had to break up the shows in order to fit them on the CDs. The first part of, I guess, essentially set 1 of the second show is the acoustic set because Bill is on a plane. He's not yet there. So Jerry comes out and says, Bob and I are going to play a bunch of oldies or some standards for you. Phil's not present until about 5 songs in when they're starting like, Phil, where are you? Then Phil comes out. Then eventually Bill shows up at the end of, I think, Black Peter. And everybody's like, yay, Bill's here. And then they kind of start proper. And what I don't like about it is you get a big healthy chunk, if not a big healthy chunk of the November 2nd show. And then because the Dark Star is next on the November 2nd show and is 30 minutes long and segues into St. Stephen, essentially, they put that on the beginning of disc 2. So at the end of disc 1, you have like 5 of the acoustic songs. I kind of wish the acoustic songs were like all together. I wish that was maintained. The integrity of that was maintained. It's broken up over across a couple discs, just because the acoustic stuff I really, really like. And I would love for the monkey and the engineer to open up a disc instead of be buried after all this electric stuff. So that's my only complaint. But the first show is split up on discs 1 and disc 2, the November 2nd show. I think it's one long set. We get some pretty solid, straightforward performances. We get an absolutely awesome, rare song in the middle of the set. And then we get a fantastic sort of, hour plus run. I guess that would be set 2 if there was a set 2. An hour plus run of 4 songs that closes out the show. That is just fantastic. That is most of disc 2 with the remainder of the acoustic part of the second show on disc 2. And then all of disc 3 is just set 2 from the second show, which is electric, the second set. Confusing, whatever. Let's talk about the songs. So the Family Dog Show, November 2nd, you get some pretty standard songs for the era performed pretty well with one really nice, juicy sort of rarity thrown in there. Opens up with the Cold Rain and Snow, which feels like a 90s Cold Rain and Snow. That's sort of a little more majestic and take your time and slow and let the opening sort of riff kind of just play it for a while and let things develop before we go into the song. Really nice feel to the start of the show. It's kind of a nice, well-paced, confident start. That goes into In the Midnight Hour. Again, just good energy, little subdued, but not lacking energy, just not like over-the-top exuberant energy. It's really focused into the groove, into playing the song, just, having a good time. The band really almost sounds like like a normal, like the best local band you've ever heard in your life. The vibe of this is like you just go to a club to see a show, and this is the absolutely amazing music that gets dropped. Just because there are so many covers, it almost feels like you're just seeing a local band, but it's the Dead, and it's fantastic. We get a George Jones cover, Seasons of My Heart, which I know Johnny Cash, I believed, also covered that like years earlier. I'm kind of thinking maybe that's why they did it, because Cash also did it, just because we know their love affair or how they like some Johnny Cash songs. But it is a George Jones song. Maybe they know George Jones. I'm sure they did. But we get Seasons of My Heart. We get a Mama Tried, a Next Time You See Me, a Good Lovin', a Big Boss Man. I think we have Issues. Good Lovin' is a really good solo in it. Not one of my favorite songs, but Jerry's really bringing the heat with the guitar solo on that one. A Big Boss Man. I think Bill is having drum issues in this one in the beginning. So it's just kind of, we're doing it without the drummer for a while. So it almost has this weird back porch vibe, but it works. Then Bill finally joins in the song. We get a Casey Jones, which, again, I've said this many, many times. Casey Jones does not, to me, sound like a Dead song. It seems like this weird anomaly. Just doesn't sound like the Dead to me. These live versions in 60, 69, I think work well. I think it's the best version of it. Doesn't have that monstrous chugging jam at the end, which saves like the 76 versions. But I don't know. I like these early versions. And then we get a really nice, psyched out, jammy Dancing in the Street. Not the most epic Dancing in the Street, but it's got some good energy, some good flavor. It's a good jam. And that's where that part of the Family Dog show ends. On the remainder of the set, we get the acoustic stuff, but finishing off this show, disc 2 continues with the November 2nd show, and we get a massive 30-minute Dark Star. The first 10 minutes, pre-vocals. We don't get the first vocals till about the 10-minute mark, and Jerry is very, almost melancholy, very reserved, kind of doling out the intensity in like short little bursts, like he's really letting things just kind of develop and like jumping in and just adding flavor when he needs to, but kind of holding back a little. And they just kind of develop these flavors and let this kind of vibe, this sort of melancholy, exploratory vibe, go for like a while. We get close to the vocals around 8 or 9, and we're getting back to that Dark Star theme, but then Jerry's not ready, so then we're toying around with that Dark Star theme, and we're off in other places, and finally we kind of get things back together and ease into the vocals. After the vocals, we drop into some deep, deep, deep space for about 5 minutes, exploring that. And in almost identical fashion as the second Dark Star on the second show, we're coming out of that space with like some finger-picking arpeggiated chords that Jerry's playing to kind of like bring the energy back up, and the band kind of follows, and everything just kind of leads up, and we're like, all of a sudden, we're like off and kind of jamming again. Strong kind of China Rider vibes early on, like the portion between China and Rider, that sort of segue jam. We're kind of starting to feel that, and then we're flowing into Feeling Groovy territory, and then we full on commit to an awesome Tighten Up jam, and we just get this awesome, uplifting, feel good, just magnificent Tighten Up jam. And this goes again, I mean, this is a 30-minute Dark Star, so we're talking space ends right around the 15, 16-minute mark, and we got a good 10 plus minutes of just this like exploratory jam, and the boys going out there, and we get Feeling Groovy, we get Tighten Up. It's just, it is such great playing. It is just like autopilot in the sense that the band, it just seems like they're just sailing, but while on autopilot, they're doing so many absolutely amazing things. Mad shout out to Tom Constantine. His organ sound, just that kind of creepy psych organ sound that he plays, almost this weird high-pitched like lurker in the back. The entire set, anytime TC is like kind of wants to make himself known, it lifts everything up just to a little bit more of a weird psych intensity that is just, it's just absolutely beautiful. The Dark Star goes into a St. Stephen, which is a really nice sort of closing middle jam at the end of it after we get the weird lyrics. That goes into the 11. The 11 rocks pretty hard. Like they're jamming out the 11. And we have this weird part kind of between Dark Star and the 11 where it sounds like, I'm not Dark Star, St. Stephen. Feels like we've left St. Stephen, but we're not yet fully committed to the 11. So we have this weird couple minutes where we're just jamming hard on this like connective tissue between St. Stephen and the 11. We hit the 11 and then we ride that hard. And then we kind of just slow things down, kind of like this almost like march slowing down, but like in a very dramatic fashion, and finally just kind of ease ourselves right into an absolutely just set ending perfection of Death Don't Have No Mercy. That is just absolutely fantastic. Looking at my notes here to make sure I got all the really good stuff. Yeah, the Death Don't Have No Mercy segue out of the 11 has this, like, I wrote the plotting slowdown where it just feels like we're dramatically downshifting into it. But TC is right there to just provide those eerie, creepy little synth sounds. Yeah, just really, really good. Yeah, and then Jerry's vocal performance on this is one of those where he just kind of increases the intensity with each verse. It increases the intensity, and we get that nice, just cathartic Death Don't Have No Mercy ending. It's a fantastic show. Like, it's just, you got the first Cold Rain through Dancing in the Street. The first 9 songs are kind of doing what they need to do. They're not making any mistakes. They're jamming hard when they need to, dropping a nice jam in Dancing, nice jam in Big Boss Man, Good Lovin', got some good energy. In the Midnight Hour has some good energy. And then they just hit it out of the ballpark with the Dark Star, St. Stephen 11, Death Don't Have No Mercy, which clocks in at like over an hour, those 4 songs. Just fantastic. The second show is from December 26, 1969. Bill is on a plane, or he's coming from the airport, so they decide to do some standards. They play The Monkey and the Engineer, such a fun song. They do a little Sadie. Then we get a nice treat. We get a long black limousine that Bob sings. It's just really works. Nice to hear something different, especially an acoustic vibe. We get in I've Been All Around This World. And then we get another song that's rare to the Dead release series, or the Dead canon, or whatever you want to call this. We get Gathering Flowers for the Master's Bouquet. Interesting short little acoustic number. Then we get a Black Peter in the set, though those first songs I talked about are at the end of disc 1. Then after the Death Don't Have No Mercy to close out disc 2, we get a Black Peter. And the Black Peter almost sounds upbeat, maybe a little more liveliness in it than we're used to. It definitely has a little more of a positive vibe, despite the lyrics being what they are. And then I think it's at the end of this where everybody's like, hey, Bill's back. Then they play Uncle John's band, and I think he joins them in the middle of that. The Uncle John's band kind of feels off. Like they've yet to work out the early rhythm. The verses kind of work and have the normal flow of the verses. But anytime we get sort of an instrumental section, it just feels like they quite haven't figured out the rhythm to this. And that's kind of neat to hear. It's kind of neat to hear them kind of, in real time trying to figure out how to make this song work best. And that closes out the second disc. And then in the third disc, we get the remainder of, I guess, the official set 2, minus I think it's the second song. It's the opening song, minus the opening Cold Rain and Snow, which opened up the previous show. So I think that's why, they left it off for time reasons. And I'm pretty sure it's included on the next release, which is like a 90 release, right? So throwing a weird 69 song on there as filler is odd. But I think that's the case. If my numbers are correct, I think 44 is the 90 show. But anyways, so disc 3 is set 2 of the 26, opens up with a Casey Jones. We get a Hard to Handle, pretty straightforward to the point. We get a really nice play, China Rider. That jam in the middle just seems like they're stretching it out a little more that they do in this era. Really good energy. The band sounds fantastic, just really well executed. China Rider. That Rider kind of slides right into a high time, really nice high time. We get a Me and My Uncle. And then we drop into Dark Star. We get a 25-minute Dark Star, and this one is upbeat and feeling good and kind of like all about let's just have a really good time jamming. The energy is kind of positive from the get-go. We're not going melancholy. We're not going dark. We're not going deep. We're going to celebrate this dark star. Like, we're bringing that feeling groovy, tighten up energy to like the intro, because we're just right away. We're going to have a good time. The opening jam, which just feels good, doesn't go for the whole 10 minutes that the other one does. I think it goes for about 6.5 minutes. Yeah, 6.5 minutes. We get the vocals. We slide into space. Space is only like 2 minutes long here. And it's not the deepest, darkest space you've ever heard. Once again, Jerry's doing that, like playing those like arpeggiated chords and trying to lift us out of that with some like good energy and like, hey guys, follow me. It's not as harsh as it is on the previous show. It definitely is a little more melodic and like uplifting. And again, going through some feeling groovy territory, we drop into a hardcore committed tighten up jam that is just absolutely fantastic. Like this, the energy on this one is from start to finish. It's uplifting and it's positive and everybody just feels like they're having the time of their life. And it's just like, you think you're going to maybe slide back into the vocals. We get some Dark Star, like actual thematic teases. But again, we're off soloing again. And we just kind of ride these waves until like finally we get that second verse and we finish it off. And it's just, Jerry is just soaring the entire time. It's like an absolutely beautiful, beautiful Dark Star. 5 minutes shorter than the first one. But I think from that opening note to that end note, it's just a much more enjoyable ride. It's just, let's just play and have a good time and just soar. That goes into a really, really good, kind of not segues directly. I think we kind of stop and then we start off with a New Speedway. New Speedway is fantastic, nice and funky. I mean, just great song. Another one I wish they had played more often and kept throughout the decades. And then we close out with a Turn On Your Love Light. Has quite a bit of Pigpen in this. Not as many little pocket jams as one would wish. It's only 15 minutes long. Nice dramatic ending. It's a pretty tame Love Light. I'm not the biggest Love Light fan, but it's kept to only 15 minutes, so that kind of makes it, to these ears, a little more tolerable. But yeah, another great set. The acoustic part of the set is fantastic. The Dark Stars on both shows are fantastic. They both have feeling groovy, tighten up jams, which is like, what else could you ask for? I really, 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 really like this release. Where would I put this release that I really, really like if I had to release all of them? I have it right there, all the way up in the top 20. I know what number it is. I'm pulling it up on my screen because I forgot exactly what number I put it at. I think it's 13. I know you can see it and I can't. No, I have it up at number 12. Yeah. The acoustic set and both those Dark Stars, especially the second one. The second one, I just think the vibes in the second one are just so positive and just so like, the band is just like, they're reaching sort of the peak of this early incarnation of them, you know, before they start adding new songs and kind of maybe going in a jazzier and less just dramatically psych direction. The positivity of this one gives the psychness a jazzier flavor and is a good connective, like leading into what 70 and 71 would bring. But yeah, I have a way up at number 12. It might just be because it's from 69 and we don't have a lot of 69 stuff, but I think this is just such a fun release. So many different flavors, so many rare songs. The acoustic stuff is a treat. Yeah, love it. But that's all I got. Those are my thoughts on Dave's Picks number 43. We're almost caught up. I think we're like 49 or 50 now, right? In real releases, right? We're like getting into 2024 and what's going to be released next year. So yeah, it's kind of neat, kind of exciting. So anyways, that's all I got. Let me know what you think of this release. If you haven't heard it and you check it out, let me know your thoughts on it, all that stuff. You know, just subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to the Grateful Dead, people. Go listen to that acoustic set, which is fun. Listen to that second Dark Star first. Just like do whatever you have to do to relax and put on that Dark Star. It's a good journey. It's a good journey. That's all I got. Peace. Talk to you later.